live timer, by the way?
It's now.
Okay. So we're live now.
Great. I think so.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Welcome everyone to our NIL Testnet V1 Ask Me Anything. I'm Dennis. I'm part of the DevRel team here at NIL. I'm going to be moderating this presentation. Thank you all for coming. As part of our agenda, we're going to first run through, Stepan is going to run through our current roadmap and where we are right now, what's coming next. And after that, Aleksa will be running into more of a deep dive into why we're doing ZK sharding and what does that exactly mean, along with some of the key features of this testnet. If you guys could introduce yourselves in your sections, that'd be great. That being said, I'm going to hand this off to Stepan.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. So my name is Stepan. I'm in charge of engineering and research here at NIL. And my goal today is to share some updates on our roadmap. But first of all, before we're going to go with the roadmap, I want to share a little bit about our research. Well, research is not a part of our engineering delivery roadmap per se, but at the same time, it's a very important thing because it's foundation for all our design decisions and our solution. And we did a lot of research recently since we talked to you last time, and we published a lot actually. So if you're interested in protocol design or ZK cryptography, please check our new papers, our research in our blog post on HackMD, on F-Research, we published some of them. So, go to our X account and you will see all the links. Well, let's proceed with the roadmap part. Let me start with a quick recap. So what happened recently? What happened since we announced our ZK sharding technology? We announced it in November of 2023, as far as I remember, during the conference in Istanbul. And since then, after the conference, we spent some time on research and on experimenting with some different technologies, with some different ways and approaches how to make our vision live, how to implement our vision. So we search for the best way of implementing of our vision, and I think that we did it because in July of 2024, this July, during the FCC conference, we launched our first DevNet. And this DevNet, it was actually the proof of the concept that ZK sharding as a technology, for sharded LT solution is possible, and it go live, and everybody who joined DevNet could touch it, could play with it, could try it by their own. And we got a lot of super valuable community feedback from the guys who participated in DevNet. Since then, we've got some time, and we did very significant progress towards our goals. And for the testnet, which we announced yesterday, we've got two main goals. First of all, the first goal was to bring network layer to our platform, because we are building network, we are building chain, and network infrastructure is essential for any blockchain, actually, for any LT solution in particular. And the second one was to enhance development experience, to let any developer who familiar with Solidity start to build something on top of us very quickly, very fast. And right now, I'm pretty confident that any developer who knows how to code with Solidity could start his or her project very fast, just in maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And here it is. So if you don't believe me, just try our playground, and you will see that, our online IDE, and you will see that it's super, super easy and super fast. well, also we bring a lot of new features and improve our developer experience. But Aleksa will tell you more about it after I finished. That was the what we did and the current state. So let's think about what we're gonna do next. And looking ahead to the next 4 to 5 months, and I'm speaking about 4 to 5 months because I want to release the next big thing and come up with the next milestone maybe in the Q1 of 2025. So we have 2 months of this year and 3 months of the next year, 5 months in total. So I want to, during this period, I want to engage as many team and as many projects and as many developers as possible to our testnet. So this is the main goal of this testnet, to get people and start building some real apps on top of us. And what I really want us to do during this period, as I mean our team, I want us to learn from you guys, from our partners, from the builders about your apps, about the design of your apps, about the requirements you have. And based on these requirements, I want to improve our development experience. I want to improve our performance. I want to build based on real feedback from real builders and address some real problems. Of course, we have our own vision, but well, every time we need to adjust our vision, and we need to be closer to reality and be closer to real apps. That's why it's super important. So our goal during these next 5 months is to help builders to build more performant, more scalable, more profitable by the end of the day applications, because we understand that you probably want to build real businesses, real stuff. How are we going to do that? First of all, we're going to conduct several customer development sessions and get some feedback, get some understanding. So what do you want, both in terms of functional and non-functional requirements? And I think that the significant portion of the whole roadmap would be based and would be devoted to these kind of features, these kind of enhancements. The second thing, which is super important, super huge, is our SIM committee service. What is SIM committee in a nutshell? Well, it's a service which listens to the network, and then it sees some new data, some new block. It started the process of it gives this block to our prover network. Then prover produce the proof, and the service, the task of this service is to combine all the data, compress this data, and send this data to L1, to the data availability layer. Well, we actually did quite a big portion of this job already. So we have a skeleton of this SIM committee node service, and we already wrote a lot of circuits, which is kind of ZK EVM, our implementation of ZK EVM. But by the end of Q1, by our next release, I believe that we will manage to integrate all these components all together in the one service and showcase our security features. And well, yeah, this is our security features. We won't compromise on security, so that's why it's super important for us and for the whole network, for the whole product. And finally, last but not least, direction. It's our movement to decentralization, because well, we support this idea of decentralization, and we finally want to build decentralized network. So we are gonna work on our consensus algorithms during this period. I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't, our final version of our consensus, it's just impossible to build a good, very fast consensus algorithm just in such a short period of the time. But I quite optimistic about our ability to show some progress in this direction during next several months. So yeah, one more time, 3 things is functional and non-functional requirements which we want to get from the app developers to help them solve their real life problems. The second one is SIM committee and our security features, and the third is decentralization. So these three pillars of our next testnet V2 release. That's it from my side. Aleksa.
Okay, we can move on to.
Yep, I think I'm next. Hey everyone. So I'm integration stack lead here at NIL, and my goal today is to go over all the cool things we prepared for this release. I cannot promise I'll be able to cover everything, but I'll do my best. So before we go into the feature, I think it's now a really good time to do a small recap of what is a ZK sharding and why ZK sharding. So in really simple words, ZK sharding is combination of 2 elements. On one side, we have sharding, and we really believe in horizontal scaling. Horizontal scaling meaning that we can have multiple environments running in parallel. Each of these environments we call shards. Each shard has its own execution, has its own state, mempool, and everything else. And basically, this means that if you put the transaction in these environments, because the environments are independent, also transactions can be executed independently and in parallel. Our shards, under the hood, they have EVM, so Ethereum Virtual Machine. And this means that if you have any dApp already deployed on other EVM-compatible networks, you can just redeploy them on one of our shards. But you can even go a step further, and you can split your dApp into multiple pieces, deploy it into multiple shards, and basically many things can work in parallel. We also have our native cross-shard communication protocol, and this is how we solve the interoperability. So the second element is, of course, the ZK. I think that everyone knows why we decided to go with the ZK. It basically gives us a way to generate the proofs and then to post these proofs on other networks. We are L2 on top of Ethereum, so we plan to post the proofs on Ethereum. And a really good feature about the ZK proofs is that we can take the proofs from multiple shards, then aggregate them, and then post only that one optimized proof. So that's kind of the ZK sharding in a nutshell. So yeah, Dennis, can you move to, yes. So also before I cover the new features, I want to take a second and just give a huge shout out to our whole company and the team. I know that everyone worked super hard to make sure that this release is possible, and it just, worth giving the recognition. So let's go and see the features. So as Stepan already mentioned multiple times, something that we learned when in our DevNet phase is that we really need to focus on our dev support. So introduction of the sharding and the async communication in Solidity also requires for people to have a lot of examples. That's why in the past couple of months, we spent a lot of efforts improving our documentation. So in our documentation, you can find the guides how to use our tools. You can find small examples from some Solidity patterns to even a bit bigger applications. We have the cookbooks. Like, I think that if you can think about something, we probably taught it as well, and either already have it or we plan to add it in doc. Also, we listened our community, and we heard a lot of time that people wants to see the real dApps, how they can look on top of us. That's why internally we decided to take the Uniswap V2 and just port it to our network. By this port, we open source the code, so anyone can go to our repository. You can see how everything is built, what are the changes that someone needed to do. As well, we publish in our documentation also guide how to approach these integrations, as well as how to consider different concepts when you want to put something on a single shard or across multiple shards. We also have our Telegram group. So our Telegram group is private. If anyone wants to join, just reach out to anyone from NIL and anyone can help you get there. And basically, this is where we have this communication with our developers. We want to learn what is missing. We want to get the feedback to improve. And we are also willing, if someone is developing something, even to jump on the call and just, help out. So the next thing that we worked a lot is our dev sandbox, and this goes really well after I explained our dev support initiative. So for our DevNet, our focus was to provide as easy as possible for anyone to deploy and interact with the network. That's why for our DevNet, we already have our CLI. We had our Nil.js library. We even had a small Hardhead plugin that you can just put in your Hardhead and start interacting with Nil. But what we learned is that we can do more. So at the end, we decided to build our own in-browser ID. We call it the sandbox. And basically there, you only need to focus about the application itself. You can connect to the network by just putting the RPC. There you already have the mock tokens, so you can fund with a native currency. You have a couple of mock tokens that you can use, for example, when you're building the DeFi to do a simple swaps and so on. You can write multiple contracts. You can compile the contracts, and you can even do the interactions, so read, write. And yeah, if someone is familiar with the Remix, which is used in Ethereum ecosystem, it's Remix-like environment. Also, we spent time improving our Nil.js. We released our Nil.js alongside with our DevNet, but we were lucky that our DevNet community was really good, and they even contributed a bit to our Nil.js. And besides just contribution, they also gave us a lot of feedback, which we use to make the Nil.js much more mature. So I also want to mention a couple of the things that we improved on our protocol. It's not possible to mention everything. Inside our documentation, you have the release notes, and there you can see, like, from the past couple months, everything that we developed. I decided to speak about these 3 different things. So we added gas estimations. This is something that every network has, but for us, it was really tricky to add, because in our case, we don't have only a single environment. We have multiple environments running. There you have many of these async calls, you have callbacks and so on. And it's not as easy to calculate and estimate how much something will cost. But we made sure to make it as simple as with other networks. So you can just request and get the estimates. We also improved the error handling. So sharding introduced that when you send something somewhere, when you do the cross-shard call, when you send the message to another shard, in some cases, you need to handle stuff on the source chain as well. That's why we introduced our requests. Basically, you can think about the requests where you can send the cross-shard call, and along with the cross-shard call, you can also give a callback. And then when this request executes something on destination, basically your callback will do whatever it needs to do on your side. And in that way, you can handle if something breaks, you can handle different things and so on. And the last thing I want to mention here is debugging. So EVM and Solidity. So when you think about the bytecode doesn't carry any debug information. And like, as engineers, we are used to having, the stack traces and so on. So we created a service where you guys can upload the code and the bytecode, and you can basically get the lines where something failed alongside with some, explanations if debug tool managed to get what was the error. So also it's worth mentioning our enshrined token. So we all know about ERC20, and ERC20 doesn't work well on a sharded architecture. The reason for it is that ERC20 is just a single registry, centralized registry, which needs to be deployed somewhere. And you can imagine that if you deploy this one ERC contract on one shard, you can basically create a bottleneck on that shard, because now everyone needs to access to do the simple transfers. And whenever we are designing our protocol, we always make sure that we don't break this horizontal scaling by adding the bottlenecks. And this is why we decided to build our own native currency support. It's called enshrined tokens. It's a relatively bigger topic. I cannot go that much into detail now, but we covered it in our documentation. So if anyone wants, just go there or ask us. We love to talk about it. And also I want to mention our faucet service. So now that we are in the testnet phase, we need to have, first of all, the stable service that can give the testnet tokens to anyone who wants to try out. As well, this faucet service needs to be able to adapt on different integrations and so on. Dennis, can we go to next? And also, I wanted to give you an overview of our protocol and network upgrades. So moving forward from this testnet forward, our shards can be run into separate environments, into separate services. We wrote our own networking layer using libp2p. So now the shards can be split apart. Also, we extracted the RPC service. So now also the RPC can be run as a standalone service, meaning that we can have one or multiple RPC services accepting the messages. And also, it's worth mentioning that we finalized our implementation of the archive nodes. Archive nodes are read-only nodes, which saves the state. And we wanted to enable the node operators to choose if they want to serve the state of a single shard or of the subset of the shard. So basically, you can configure what you're tracking. And I hope that this covers everything. As I said initially, there is so many more things that I can talk about, but for this brief overview, I think this is good. So Dennis, let's go next.
Yes, with Aleksa share, we have now the Q&A. So actually, I'm curious to know if there are any questions from the audience first. I'd have to quit my share screen, but I don't know if anybody else, Aleksa, can you maybe read if there's otherwise I've got, wait, hold on, I've got here. Okay, I got them. I can open it on my phone. So I've got 3 questions here. I'm gonna choose from the questions in the chat. The first one would be, where can I find ideas on what to build on NIL? I'm gonna ask this to you, Stepan.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. So the answer is pretty obvious. So first of all, I bet that if you have some experience with these other networks, you should be familiar with some different apps and probably use some different apps on different networks. And my advice to you is to encourage you to maybe repeat some other applications, or maybe build something very similar to what you like to use yourself. Like it just makes sense. If you want to have some application, just build it, and you can build it on top of us. Me personally, I think that some of DeFi applications would be really helpful for our ecosystem, some social applications maybe, or whatever it is. Also, we have a kind of wish list, which is built by our team, which we want you to build. Actually, we published it on Notion, and you can get the link to this Notion page by using our Telegram bot, which I believe Dennis will mention. Yeah, here is the link.
It's right here. Yeah. I'm going to leave this slide here while we continue with the Q&A, actually. Yeah. So, well, this Telegram bot, it gives you access to the testnet. It grants you a URL so you can hit the RPC and start building. It also has a list of resources and a link to our sandbox. So sandbox is like what, as Aleksa mentioned earlier, our remix web IDE that allows you to build and compile and deploy contracts to the network. So by all means, do check it out. If you follow that link right there, it's going to take you straight to it. And yeah, it also has a link to the use cases that Stepan also just mentioned. So yeah, I'll pick another question out here. This one's for you, Aleksa. Where can I find help or ask questions when I am developing on NIL?
Yeah, so as I said, anyone who wants to develop on NIL, please join our Telegram group. Like, not only our DevRel team, but also our engineers are there and are more than willing to jump and help you with anything. So feel free to post it there. Or if you plan to build something a bit bigger, you can get in touch with Will. He's our head of ecosystem. So yeah, just reach out to anyone in NIL, and I'm sure that anyone will be willing to help.
Great. And the last one is related. Is how do I join the testnet? And what does the process look like? I'll pick this one up. I'd say try the bot out. You can read through the docs and all, but I think the bot is a nice way to just go through it real quick and also deploy your first contract in like under a minute. I think in 30 seconds even. You can, just by following the link, I dare to say maybe even 15, you can deploy your first contract. So do try it out. I think that's a great way to do that and become acquainted. Yeah, and reach out to any of us on Telegram, or like if you see us also in person. The bot also has a functionality where you can submit details about yourself in this bio section, and I do look at that. So if you want to make a chance to meet the team, then do share a little bit about yourself, and we might get in touch. So yeah, I think I'd add to Stepan's point on the projects area. DeFi is very exciting. DeFi is like one of the areas in our space that has proven to be the most, that has gained the most attention and the most usage. But I say also be willing to try something cool out, something we haven't seen out there yet. Still, this is a young space, so by all means, if you're keen on building something cool, there's nothing stopping you, and we're also very eager to hear about that. So any projects, yeah, just hit it off. And if you are looking for any support, we're also here to help you throughout the way. So that would be it for me. Anybody, Aleksa, Stepan, would you like to add
I can only add that anyone can go also to our GitHub. We have a couple of example repositories as well. I mentioned the Uniswap. So if you don't know what to build and you just want to try out, go there. We already have prepared examples. In these examples, we try to cover most of functionalities we have. So from like, working with the tokens to cross-shard communication, the requests that I mentioned, different solidity patterns, and so on. And if you're familiar with the hard hat, you can easily run it there, but you can also copy paste the code and just run it in browser ID. So it's also a really good way to get started.
Cool. Unless there's anything else.
My side.
Yeah, Stepan.
Nothing from my side. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Great. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining, and hope to see you very soon. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.